SAINT German, beloved students, my heart rejoices with you so tremendously today in the cooperation you have given through your mighty decrees for the preparation of this class. It has made possible such tremendous work to be done for each one of you. My gratitude, my love enfolds you always, and remember that at any time of great crisis, after you have called to your presence, call to me and I will give you every assistance possible. We cannot amplify the power and energy of those whose motives are not right, but for those whose motives are, as you say in your slang phrase, we will go the limit. We want you to know that you are not alone, beloved ones. You are no longer subject to even your own human creations. Means are being provided in your feeling world to give you freedom. If you will keep harmonious and make earnest, determined application, you will have every reason in the world to rejoice to the fullest extent of your ability. It is my great joy and it has been my request that the great SANAT Kumara dictate to you, and he has been willing to do it. 58. SANAT Kumara. From our home in the world of light, beloved ones, we have watched the progress of humanity through so many hundreds of thousands of years. Today we are finding many in whom we can expand this light. Yet, they are such a fragment of the complete number of humanity. To you I decree the ability, the courage, and the confidence to make your radiance become far more powerful than even the spoken word, in being an example and representative of the mighty I Am Presence and the Ascended Masters. So will you, in our great love for you and your great love for us, conduct yourselves ever in the future as ambassadors of light? You are really. You may not quite understand it yet, but we have made you such. Will you notice this closely? When the light within the individual has expanded to a certain point, your great presence says to us, now your opportunity has arrived. Give all the assistance that is possible to my blessed ones. When that edict comes forth to us, every ascended master is instantly alert. They look upon mankind, watching the expansion of your light, of your light, of yours, and of yours, to see where this service may be rendered. Why do you suppose there are ascended beings? Why do you suppose I came from Venus more than 2.5 million years ago to render this service? To mankind? Of our own volition Venus offered this assistance to the earth. If you are here for the first time, beloved ones, do not think this is strange. Mankind knows so little of the inner operations of the law of life, of being. We would not utter a false word to you, any more than the earth would stop its movement. When we speak to you, we speak the law of life, the truth, for your blessing. I am quite aware that everyone has free will, but if that free will is not directed constructively, then one reaps the result of the destructive qualities. There is no escape. The beloved Saint Germain has taken upon himself the trust, at this time, to endeavor to awaken enough of humanity, so the frightful destruction which would otherwise come upon the earth may be at least minimized, and much of that destructive quality be governed. I assure you that never in the history of your earth has such assistance been given by the children of earth. Sometimes I have watched your great groups issuing these mighty decrees for the freedom of America and mankind. Then as you closed your services, we have used this mighty energy. I know, unless you saw as we are able to do, you could not comprehend that which I am going to say to you, but your awareness of it is enough to make you realize that your part of this great service is no idle thing. It is no imaginary thing. It is a mighty activity. As this force is gathered and projected forth, you have all seen the magnificent results time and time again from these decrees. The great presence of life has always said, "Command ye me." When this great presence, which is the law of life, the source of life to every human being, issues a command, all the universe obeys it but mankind. Beloved ones, it is not because you do not want to, but because you do not yet understand the importance of your guardianship of the life which is given into your use. Do you know that you are only guardians of that great stream of life which flows into your body and out into your world? Your bodies, these bodies, are not yet permanent, unless you accomplish your ascension. Physical bodies are not permanent, for individuals lay them aside and take up others, many times. Therefore, only as you hold your attention on your presence and call it into action with firmness, will it clear the substance, notice, the substance, will it clear the substance of your brain for attunement. You understand how you tune the motors in your automobiles when something is out of order, and it makes them go more perfectly. Well, the brain of the individual is but an instrument which must be qualified and tuned to where the finer vibration from your presence and the ascended masters may act through you consciously in the outer world's activity. You are moving constantly in these great, magnificent vibratory activities, but the density of the structure of your brain does not register them. That is why, beloved ones, in your attention to your presence, as the currents of light flow into and through your brain, expanding the light within every cell of your body, this dissolving process goes on. The attunement of the brain structure goes on, until clearer and clearer comes the feeling of the impulse from the presence, through the higher mental body. Thus, the feeling causes you to follow out the impulses from your presence clearly enough to produce its perfection in your world. Without this attunement, you only get fragmentary promptings from your presence. Mankind quite often rebels at obedience to certain simple things in life, but that obedience means the attuning of the brain structure. There are certain habits of mankind, which have prevented them receiving these higher vibratory activities that would have given them the knowledge they sought. Hundreds and thousands of people have sought the truth of the law of life, but all the time they have continued the human habits, which have created a density within the brain structure that prevented them receiving this truth. Therefore, humanity has only received the light of the great law at intervals, and then only slightly. I say to you, beloved ones, that the use of tobacco in any form produces a secretion in the brain which will not permit its attunement beyond a certain point. The use of meat will fill your atomic structure, now notice this carefully, will fill your atomic structure with fear. I cannot take time to go into the details of this explanation, except to cite to you certain laws, just a fragmentary part of them. If you waste your sex energy for pleasure gratification, then you have carried out of your body the energy from the presence, which you must have in order to maintain the courage and strength to call the presence into action and hold to it until the human qualities which you have gathered about you through the centuries are dissolved and disappear. Do you know in the sex energy which mankind wastes are strength, courage, and confidence? Did you ever notice that people who waste this energy become fearful, weak, and filled with distrust and suspicion? Why? Because, in the outpouring of that life, it wastes the courage and strength which had already been gathered within the feeling world of the individual. In the waste of the sex energy the individual throws away his strength and courage, for that is what goes out. The liquid light which flows through the nerves contains the courage and strength of life, which is feeling. This is why the messengers have explained to mankind the need for conserving the sex energy. It was never intended for anything but the propagating of the human form. The great mistake which the sinister force has seized upon, hypnotizing certain individuals and channels among mankind, has made many believe the sex activity was just for gratification. They have tried to use every possible excuse to make individuals believe they could use it for pleasure and still go on to perfection. I say to you, beloved ones, that never, never, never can be. The encouragement of that mistake, through various avenues, and the excuses that many teachers have made because that desire is strong within them, is the greatest tragedy before mankind today. The Ascended Master's wisdom is always of the most practical nature. It is not extreme in any manner, but it does give you the understanding and the power of your presence, to take out of your feeling world all desires that are not there for your good. All desires that are not for your good are but human accumulation. They are the result and come from information gathered from the appearance world. It is rarely, if ever, correct. Remember, unless your intelligence is received from this great I Am Presence, the source of all life, how could it be correct? Mankind's world is filled with human opinions, in most cases not correct. Therefore, if you want to be free, if you want to have perfection in your world, there is only one place from which you can ever receive it, and that is from your own God Presence, the mighty I Am. All of us had to look wholly to it, and sometimes we long so much to inform mankind of the things which they are doing that prevent the expansion of their light. We so long for them to be free. There are so many of you precious ones, who have come under this radiation of Saint Germain in the past 2 years, who are so ready for this light. You are so ready to be free. Just a little more determination and firmness on your part, in holding to your presence, would quickly take you through into your freedom. Saint Germain asked me today to bring this to you in the power and radiation which I use, that you might comprehend it clearly. May it cause you to let go of all feeling that you do not want to stop any habit which longer binds you. If the sex desire is strong within anyone, do not fight it, but simply say, "Mighty I am presence, take out of me that desire and replace it by your satisfaction and perfection." Then keep on calling and go serenely on in your daily activity. All of a sudden you will find it is gone. You can use the same call to free yourself from the desire for tobacco, the same with the desire for meat, the same with the intoxicants mankind uses. I say to you as the messenger has said to you, we have watched the operation and effect of alcohol, whiskey, and all those things on mankind. They are quite bad enough, but gin is the worst thing that human beings can put into their bodies. It acts almost wholly upon the generative organs and makes the passions uncontrollable in individuals. Now these are simple truths, dear ones, which if you want to be free, everyone must accept and obey, for they are the great law of purity and perfection. Before the sinking of the last remnant of Atlantis, an attempt was made to raise a whole province of people into ascended beings. Their blessings were brought to the point where all they had to do was sit at the table, and everything they required appeared before them. The great master who did that, or who held the focus for that mighty activity, spent many years of effort to bring them to this point. No one lifted his hand for a single thing. So far as their food, clothing, and shelter were concerned, all was provided for them. Then, because the time had not yet come when the cosmic law permitted the violet consuming flame to be brought into the outer world for their use, they in secret dwelt upon the sex desire, until the rebellion in their feeling became so great within, that the great master was compelled to withdraw. They were so helpless without his light that instructors from Atlantis had to be sent to teach them self-support. Now, dear ones, you are many of those come again. This time your victory is sure, if you will give obedience to these great but simple laws. This is why you must control your life energy. It is not that you should not use the sex activity for procreation of your kind. That is quite all right, even if you have attained a great height, but it is the waste of the energy which is the tragedy to mankind. Your energy is given to you to hold in your body so you may have it for use. People have been taught the use of these various things through the human sense consciousness, intoxicants, tobacco, meat, and all such things. Now what did it? Not mankind's own desire, but the accumulated destructive qualities of humanity were seized upon and used by those who had failed on the pathway of life. This is the thing which has bound the mass. I say to you, in giving the entity decree which you use for seizing, binding, and removing all entities from the earth, you are rendering mankind one of the most magnificent services in the universe. I urge you in all your groups to issue that decree for your city, for your state, for your nation, for all cities in the United States of America and the world. The Divine Director has offered you an unparalleled service, if you will call to the I Am Presence, and to him to release those mighty legions of angels of the blue lightning of divine love, to render this service for the earth. I am drawing your attention to these very vital things today for a mighty reason, far more than you know. If you will give obedience to these requests, we will give every assistance possible to you individually, to your cities, the states, and the nation. We do not want to see the people go through suffering, if it can be avoided, but if mankind rebels and refuses to give obedience after such a definite explanation has been given, then we must still wait. I have waited such a long time. How do you suppose one in my place feels, even though no human thought or feeling ever touches within me or my world? Yet must I observe the failure of mankind through the centuries. After some great impulse within humanity has lifted it, as in every golden age, to a great height where thousands and thousands became master of themselves and their worlds, yet they failed through the human desires, because the accumulated sinister activity of mankind began to encroach upon them. Finally the great mass gave way to it, and our work was undone. Today, the great cosmic law, for the first time throughout those hundreds and thousands of centuries, has placed in your hands the only sustaining power there is in this universe. It is your own God. Presence, your mighty I Am. This is the means by which you gain your victory and dissolve every human accumulation and human desire. Your call will set you free in the action of your presence, first, through the higher mental body, which will govern and direct you with amazing wisdom, until such time as you, in your call to the presence, and the expansion of the light within yourself, dissolve the density of your body enough for the earth to lose its attraction. Then, you ascend out of all these limitations. However, it is imperative for you to do certain things. I want to refer today to the activity of Mr. Rayborn and his ascension, also that of David Lloyd and the others who have recently made their ascension, for the reason that there will be in the minds of many the question, if they could receive assistance without much preparation, how is it that we cannot? Because in their stream of life, the expansion of their light made it possible for our assistance to be given. Most of mankind, having turned away at a former time, having had great rebellion and disobedience in their feeling, must through the conscious call to the presence, dissolve their discordant accumulation. Then through earnest desire they can raise themselves, by the call to the presence, to where they also can be given our assistance. This is why all of you today cannot be given the same assistance which David Lloyd, the Rayborns and the other gentleman who made his ascension in the Cave of Symbols received. I want to make this so clear to you today that it will stop all questioning in your minds and settle you down to definite, firm, powerful application. Beloved ones, as the messenger has said to you so powerfully and earnestly during this class, the imperative need is harmony in your feelings, and then, firm application and the calling of your presence into action in the minutest detail of everything you require. In the smaller things you gain confidence. Then when you call for the greater, it will be done quickly and easily. The mighty I Am Presence knows no small nor great. But first and forever must the outer self come into obedience. It cannot do so, precious ones, unless you will maintain harmony in your feelings long enough to let the activity within the atomic structure of your body become purified enough for this energy to sweep through. Then it can carry the remaining accumulation out of your world without requalifying the energy before it can serve you. There are so many of you today who can maintain harmony in your feelings. For your encouragement, I say that the great majority in this room today can do it. The only way you can sustain it, I mean by your outer activity and consciousness, is to refuse to have a single opinion about another human being. Then there will be no excuse for some disturbance starting in your world. I do not say this to flatter you, far from it, but to give you the encouragement. Wonderful as you have become, you do now have the strength, you have the power of self-control to refuse right this day any further concern or opinion about another human being. You also have the strength, when discord comes to you, to say, "We will not discuss that, no matter who it is." Our part is to make the call to that one's mighty I Am Presence, to take such firm command that the individual, even if he be making a mistake, will discontinue it. Why do I explain this? Because you who are so in earnest have not yet clearly understood why, every once in a while, you allow yourselves to yield to that critical habit. To some extent, when this happens you are just undoing the work you have accomplished. We do not want you to do that. We do not want you to meet the discouragement which must come from such a mistake. If you will control such things, we can give you the strength, courage, or whatever is necessary to enable you to come up into the vibratory action and direction of your presence. You will know and receive definitely the constant direction of the perfect thing to do hourly. As beloved Nada has said, every movement, every moment, would become the perfect service and activity of the moment. You must see that this is the only means by which your victory can come. As long as there is agitation and disturbance in your feeling world, there is nothing perfect and permanent that can come through quickly. Then, when mistakes occur, you feel the law is not acting. Do not blame anything or anybody for any limiting condition, any disturbance, but yourself. Then you will find it easy to refuse to have opinions about another. Your world will stay in such a state of harmony that the law, the power, the light, the energy, the essence will flow continually in all your activities. The condensed energy from your presence, as you are prepared for it, will flow in and fill your being. It will flow through your nerves like a liquid light, and once that begins to act, your struggle is practically over. Beloved ones, while I am talking to you, the inner work is going on tremendously. Will you please accept it and determine to give complete obedience? First, do not let anything enter your consciousness or world which creates unkind feeling or disturbs the feeling within you. If you do that, your feeling world immediately begins to boil and whirl like that. It is not possible for anything to come forth clearly while that exists. It is not possible, for the energy which exists in your feeling must take on these qualities of disturbance. Simplicity is the great law of life. Humbleness is the means by which your freedom comes. Every person must take his own responsibility. Even the appointed messengers who were sent out had to take their own responsibility. The group leaders all take their own responsibility. These messengers never say to anyone what they shall do. If individuals want to go forth and spread the light, they must do it on their own responsibility. Why is this so? Because the human cannot always be depended upon. Unless they are anchored firm enough in the power of their presence to govern them, some outer condition will whirl them into its vortex, and they will say and do things which they would not do out of it. That is why the human is not dependable. The messengers cannot take the responsibility if the human asserts itself and refuses to give obedience. This is why each one is wholly responsible for himself and to his presence for what he does. Your presence, your higher mental body, is your only judge, and no human being should judge another. Your own mistakes might be greater than the one you are judging, and to judge another for a seeming mistake might be far greater wrong than that which was being judged, because to judge another is interference with the free will of the individual, which may not be done. Just be firm in this great light, precious ones, for your freedom is right here in this light, which has been called forth for your assistance. Most of you have made your application very earnestly and sincerely. That has not gone unnoticed. I could point to a few who sometimes have been so discouraged because they allowed discord to enter into their feeling worlds. They felt they were not progressing, and thought, oh, why can I not stop this thing? You can if you determine to do it. Now with this added assistance, it will be easier for you. Oh, blessed ones, please understand that in this assistance which is being given, you are almost being carried on a golden platter, as it were. So much assistance is being given. You do not see it as yet, but one day you will. As your attention is called to these things, you will become more and more alert. As you discontinue the human desires which have caused the density or the dullness of the brain structure, you must receive the finer vibratory action. There will be no difficulty in doing so. I think perhaps the messengers have not mentioned this. You have a nervous system, which carries the liquid light from the presence through your body, but do you realize that within the brain structure is the activity which is the receiver and the distributor? Your heart is the director of your consciousness, which acts through the brain structure. If the consciousness in the brain structure will give obedience to the heart, all will move in divine order in its activity. But if there is rebellion of the head to the heart, then confusion ensues because the light, now notice this, the light from the heart is not able to illumine the brain sufficiently to dissolve the dense substance which obstructs the way. These are marvelous things. It all sounds quite simple, but the life activity is very marvelous in the accomplishment of your victory, in the perfecting of your body. This is not intended to make anyone dissolve his home or anything of that kind, but under the great cosmic law, no human being has a right to bind another. This understanding should draw people more lovingly and harmoniously together, but if there be one who is ugly and rebellious, then that one should not be allowed to limit someone else. If you will call earnestly, with firm determination to your presence, to take command of your home and the individuals there, seize and bind the human and dissolve all discordant feeling or selfishness within the feeling world of the individual, the presence will govern everything. All will then come into perfect, harmonious accord, but you must in that case refuse to give power any longer to appearances which seem to exist there. This is why many do not feel they are having the full results, because unknowingly in the feeling they are still accepting the appearances. In the momentum which has been gained, even in this life, where you have been very critical or subject to anger and such conditions, It takes firmness at first to make such a condition quickly subside. I ask you to look upon this good brother. As he has told you, he had acquired a very fiery temper. Even though it had gained a momentum for 3 years or more, yet he was able to speedily dissolve it by the use of the violet consuming flame, and annihilate its cause and effect. Everyone must be so in earnest that the light comes first in everything. As the beloved messenger just told you, in the beginning, dear ones, if you will give enough adoration, gratitude, and attention to your presence, you will find every problem in the outer world solved quickly. But if your attention is on the solving of the problem, then the problem is getting the greatest part of your attention, and also the greatest amount of your energy. You make the call to the presence for a few moments, and the rest of the time your attention is on your problem. Through fear, anxiety, or some phase of activity, you are constantly disturbed by the very nature of the problem. Do you not see that? Therefore, to your problems or to those conditions which confront you that seem to be disturbing or sometimes almost terrifying, still yourself, and in the knowledge of your presence, know it is all-powerful. Speak to yourself and say, stop this agitation. Be quiet. Be calm. Then when you begin to feel still, say, Mighty I Am Presence, one call on the law of forgiveness for these mistakes. You take command here, solve these problems and keep my attention on you until it is done, until it is fully accomplished. That is the proper mode of application, dear ones, but you must be firm and hold your attention on the presence, even when the problems are screaming at you out here. You know, momentum is a tremendous thing, and yet, people know so little about it. The constant pouring of water will wear away the hardest rock. The rock seems much harder than the water, does it not? Yet the water will wear away the hardest rock. Today your momentum of destructive qualities has almost worn you out. Not because it had any power, but because you gave it power, by your attention, which fed your life into it. Now then, we will reverse it. Notice, I speak it for you. You have become a part of me, while I am speaking these words. We will reverse all this condition and say to all these appearances, whatever the conditions may be, you have no power. No longer do I feed my life into you to give you power. Now that point is settled. Then, Mighty I Am Presence, one have called on the law of forgiveness for all my mistakes. You take command of me and my world. Hold such dominion, such control of my feelings that I joyfully, notice, give obedience to your slightest requirement. You see that I do give that obedience. Then you place the greatest power in the universe in charge of your feeling world, to govern it and see that you do give obedience, when possibly of your own volition you would not be able to do it. These things are so mighty, dear ones, to set you free, if you will believe me, if you will accept it, if you will apply it, but do not forget what I have said to you. If you do not obey, then to that degree you will make it impossible for us to give you the assistance which has been promised. You can choose to follow my request, or you can say, very well, I shall follow my own. It is quite all right, but those who follow my request will stand as a beacon light before the world. No achievement, beloved ones, of any human being was ever accomplished without our help. Nothing of importance was ever done in this world without some one of the ascended masters assisting. That is why we come here. Do you think that from our great heights of attainment, even the great cosmic beings forget the earth in its shadows? Why has the earth been called the dark star? Because of human discordant creation, which becomes darkness. This is why the messengers have said to you, never contemplate or meditate in darkness. Many think, what about it when we think of the presence during the night, while we sleep? May I try to make it plain to you? The difference between conscious determination to do a thing in darkness, and the natural state of nighttime in which you sleep, are two very different things. Your conscious action and determination to sit in darkness for meditation or for manifestation is your choice. God, nature, has provided the condition of night in order to give the bodies of mankind quiet and rest, so that the reality of the individual could go out from the body, gather the energy and bring it back in the morning. To give the necessary strength and activity to the body to go on for the natural span of life. That is a provision by nature to maintain the balance of energy in the physical body. Why were day and night established in the beginning? It was not always so. But why were day and night, as you experience them now, provided? Because of the density into which mankind drew their human forms. Some means had to be provided so they could have quiet, or shall I say, be compelled to receive the quiet and rest. There are those who, in the attention to the presence, require little sleep in comparison to what they formerly did. But let me sound a call and warning, do not go to extremes in fizzle. You had better have a little more rest than you need, than to let your great desire for the light deprive you of the rest which you need to hold harmony in your feeling world. These are very simple, but mighty, practical things, dear ones. Today we are taking advantage of this, that you may have the most practical use of the mighty light and its perfection which it is possible to convey in words. Therefore, as these simple words are spoken to you, still a far greater work is going on from the inner standpoint, and we are calling your attention to it. If you will accept it as already accomplished, you will have rendered yourself and us a tremendous service. Then, when you go into the outer world, do not allow any person, place, or condition to change the decision within you. Keep everything to yourself and your God. I ask you not to discuss with each other what I have said to you today, but just feel it, with a joy and accomplishment within you as a sacred gift from your presence, which is too sacred to even discuss. If you will do this, then we can do so much more for you. In the fullness of your mighty I Am presence, and through the higher mental body of each one of you, I call your presence into action to take up these activities which I have established today, and to set your higher mental body guard over this accomplishment. I cannot explain to you the details of it, but I have said enough to give your attention the power to act. Therefore, we now accept the fullness of this in its action for you. If you will give me your attention for just a few moments each night before you go to sleep, I will appreciate it, that this may continue in its ever-expanding activity, that you all might comprehend fully just what it means to you and your freedom. In my parting words to you, O children of the light, O precious ones from the heart of God, mighty and fed flame, do your perfect work for the children of earth. As their call has gone forth and will continue, release from the power of the infed flame all that is required for the control, for the perfecting activity of all that each one requires. Cause these beloved ones to feel and remember the instruction that was once given them, so they may establish, call the presence, to establish, the infed flame in their homes. Let this be in a place where it will not be disturbed, where each one may see that infed flame, for it is there, pouring forth its radiance. Each one may do that. Choose your own spot. Consider it the most sacred thing. Tell none but your loved ones who are in perfect harmony with the idea, and then, go on and receive from that flame its great perfection. In the fullness of the perfection which we have called forth, we rest, in joy, and in the mightiest action of the great silence, that the fullness of its perfection may take command of all things. Glorify Ak One with the full power of the mighty I Am presence, to hold its dominion until everything of the outer world is dissolved and disappears. Then, in its fullness, release them entirely into their eternal freedom. I thank you, and want you to know that my love enfolds you every one, unto the fullness of your victory. I thank you.